Alright, so a wee job I want to do quickly before lunch, and that is I want to fix something here that has to be fixed on the back of the 7.6. Before I do start, I hope this wind isn't causing an issue with audio because I don't have my mic on me today. But we have our 3 spools here, one of which controls our hydraulic changeover, and this one which controls the arms and the macerator on the back of the tank, and that one there just opens and closes the plate for the slurry. But as you can see here, this one's opened and the pipe is not connected because that one there is broken and it got hit. And I'll tell you, I'm lucky I didn't break more than what I did break. I had the hedge trimmer on, but it did lift a little bit too high and it caught this spool here just on the side, and it did break it. It broke the plastic as well. The plastic was already broken on that one. So I have the bits and pieces I need here in the box. Let's get that done. Get you up there out of the way, pipe. This guy should just pull off. So, big ass bolt. It's a big ass wrench. That's easy enough. Alright. Just clean this off here first. So finally just stick on cable tie, and if you remember when I was doing this, it actually is very handy. I wouldn't need them obviously. I remember every time where the pipes go. And these are actually, they're alright if you look after them. I've broke quite a few, so I obviously haven't looked after them, but if you do look after them, they're quite good. You can get little buttons that go in here, different colours. If you want to match them up rather than having to use cable ties, you can get different colours for these. They are good for keeping these clean and stopping our dirt and dust from going in. Another thing about it is, if you're changing pipes regular, you will have spillage coming down, and if you don't want it run down the back of the tractor, this is good because there's a little notch in here. You can see it runs straight from this one down to this one and runs down into this pipe, and there's a little reservoir tank that sits here in the bottom. It catches all the waste oil, so it's look it. You can live without it, but if it's there, you might as well throw them back on it. There you are. That's them. That should be us back in business. Alright, so that's not catching. No. That pipe won't go in there, and I know why. It just took me a wee while to figure it out. But there's a rubber here, but no matter how much I push, it won't let that pipe in. Even on the bottom, it still keeps coming out. So a little die grinder. You can remove that rubber completely. In here it comes out nice and easily, but then you're kind of removing that whole grip that's catching the oil, so the oil's going to run out, which kind of defeats the purpose of the whole thing. So you're better off just grind it out, I find. There you are. There we go. Look at those work. There we go. Job's a good one. So the girls are on the way up, let the cows out. That's why the cows are roaring at the minute. It's St. Patrick's Day. I've just gone 5 p.m, or just gone half 5 actually, a wee bit later today. But yesterday was pouring rain, and so I decided to come in here and give this place a bit of a spruce up. So we took the pressure washer to it, and this is the first time I've actually cleaned the feeders since the day I bought them, about 12 years ago. They come up great. Cleaned the whole walls, cleaned out the feeders as well. There was lots of old gunk and stuff built up on those. We washed down the whole walls, pipe work, that column there of all the sheeting down the sides, and just brighten the whole place up. It's nice to work in a bright environment. I don't know, lifts your mood a wee bit. So just in the calf shed here, we had a calf born 4 days ago, and I didn't think it was going to make it, a bull calf. It just from the minute it came out, its lungs wasn't good. It was always whining, you could hear it on its lungs, and it actually in fact seemed to get worse. The calf was panting quite a lot, so we tried to feed the calf, which was a struggle. So we used a tube, and you have a bag, you zip open, pour the milk into it, you run the tube down the calf's neck, directly into the calf's stomach, and that way you can feed the calf without causing it any distress whatsoever. It just straight into the stomach. This is very important that the calf gets that colostrum, that forced colostrum. Then we got an injection in the vet, I can't for the life of me remember the name of it, to give the calf, to treat it for its lungs, which did seem to actually have a bit of effect on the calf. The second day of its life it seemed to be quite good, but yesterday the calf, well, to me it was on its last legs, couldn't get up. It was struggling quite badly to breathe. Pretty much 99% sure we're going to have to put it down, but I said I'll try a couple of old remedies. A little bit of coffee. I mixed that with a little bit of liquid paraffin. I added some sacralate powder, which is just basically like electrolyte. That's what it is. Mixed it all together, a bit of warm water, and tubed it into the calf's stomach. Left it at that. Came back the following morning. The first place I went was up here before I started milking the cows, because I expected to find a dead calf. But I can tell you I didn't find a dead calf, because this is the following evening and I found a very bright and alert little calf, which really did bring a joy to me to start my day. And you can see it's over at the gate now, looking to get drinking again. Very healthy face, complete difference in night and day. There is still a bit of a pant there, but he's wagging the tail and it's jumping around and it's mad looking for its milk. It's a bit of a miracle calf to make such an improvement in such a small space of time, but yeah, it's a good one. Pleased me, really did please me. Beside it is Aberdeen Angus, was born yesterday evening. A nice square little Aberdeen Angus bull. Here we had a huge big Frisian heifer calf that was born here, but the middle of last night. Rub your spine, something stimulates the calf to get up. There it is, jump up. Get a look at you, come on. Come on. So she's stretching herself now, but you can see horrid length of that calf, a huge lump of a heifer calf. Anyway, I'm going to go on. Cows are in here behind me. Just before I do start milking, I want to bring across this cow that calved last night. The latest one. There you are, come on. Come on. So this is just another girl that I have to watch. Watch you for the night. Yeah, you're going into the calving pen. I don't think you'll do anything, but you can see these little hollows here across her back. The elder's not completely full yet. She does tend to have a brave lump of an elder, but them little hollows to me indicate she's not far away, and she's about 7 days by her time. So she'll be in the calving pen tonight. But one thing that strikes me straight away, probably strikes you, is how much brighter. It's a long time since you've seen the sun on my face, and I don't look any prettier, but it still is the sun, and it's lovely to see it. The girls are just scraping the slats in here. Cole's putting back silage, and Sophia is just running down the cubicles. She fall across the silage. What happened to her? What happened? Did she fall across the silage? So just in here in our milking parlour, a couple of things I haven't showed you before. This is our milk tank. So those of you who aren't from the farming background, milk comes in here and across and down. And if I lift this up, it's quite dark in there. But in there you have a big pan that sits on a rod that comes down from that motor that's on top of the tank. And that just mixes the milk as it's cooling down. That tank is after being washed because the milk was collected this morning. It's collected here every second day. So then we have our two drums here, our wash and our descale remover that sits on the far side. So we had several different milk tanks over the years. My dad used to draw the milk to the co-op in a tank that just wheels pulled behind a car. This big yoke that sat down into the tank, and on the bottom of it, it had a circular kind of a tube which froze, and that's what cooled the milk. And inside that little tube there was a propeller that spun, so it spun and churned up the milk as it was cooling it. We'd take that out in the mornings, hook it onto the back of the car and bring it to the co-op. After that we got a big upgrade, which was an ice bank, Kilkenny tank actually is what it was called, bulk tank. So then our milk was collected at the door here. It had a big lid that lifted up. It didn't have a self-wash, you had to wash it every day yourself. Then we moved up to an Alpha Valve tank, an old tank I bought, I mentioned it in the channel before, for very little money, and it wasn't supposed to work for very long. It worked for 10 years flawless. It had a self-wash, an old style one. Very same as this here, only much smaller. And then this one came along 5-6 years ago. So the ice bank tank that we had was square in shape, and there was a void around both sides, a channel, and that channel was full of water, and that water used to basically turn into ice, and that's what cooled your milk inside. These are direct expansion, so they're got tubes. I'm not sure exactly how it works, but I think there's tubes that run around inside the tank that are gas filled, and it's that actually, them freezing, that cools the milk inside here. But these are our tubes here that run into our tank. And when I'm done milking that there, will probably be frozen solid. By the way, our first tanker on the wheels and cooler was called an Etchel system. So any of you can remember that one. That's an old one for you, but there was loads of Etchels everywhere around Ireland. So this in here before milking, first thing I have to do is close off this valve. So two ways to work this cooler. I have a button here I can press. It was cool right underneath it. and I hold it down for a couple of seconds, it'll beep once. The clock then will start counting down from 20 minutes, and in 20 minutes time the cooler will automatically turn on. So that's a good idea, because turning it on now, well, it has to wait till a full row of cows is milked, and for that milk to get into the tank before it can start cooling, so it'll be frozen solid on the bottom by the time that happens. So that's a good feature on this. I'll demonstrate it here. So there's the countdown, it'll come on now. I just set it like that, and at least I know the cooler's on. You can easily forget it. Most of the time this is off by the time the machine is off, so you mightn't cop it that's not working. So that's the way I always leave it anyway. So just feeding this sock down through this spring, keeps it open. The end's down in. So that's just a milk sock, basically a sock that you pull up like a pair of leggings. Don't wear leggings. So the milk comes from the milking parlour in there, comes down, comes across, comes in here. Your sock is in this tube. It gets forced in, and it has to go through that sock, get to the centre, and come up here and piped into the tank. Very little will ever get through that sock because it's that tight of fibres that's in it. But that is how we filter our milk. It's also a great thing if you have mastitis in the cow and you miss it. We just string down our cows before we put the machine on them. If we were to miss it, you'd see it in the sock. So it gives you a good indication that something's wrong, and you know the next day to check a wee bit more carefully. Someone asked me in the comment section before, Adrian, how do you train your cows to go in so fast when you open the door? A very easy answer to that. That's why they're coming in, not me. So the reason why we string down cows quarters before we put the machine on, you might see that in a lot of other channels. Well, probably two of the main reasons is we're checking for mastitis. Mastitis is basically an infection. There are several different types of it. Some easy treated, some very, very hard to treat. But the first indication to us is little bits of crud which looks like butter in a cow's individual quarter. So by stringing them down before we put the machine on, you're catching it quite quickly and hope that you can treat it quickly. But the second reason why we string them down is that cows will let down their milk much quicker. When I string down a row, by the time I get to the top cow again, the milk is usually spraying out of her because she's let down the milk. It encourages them to let down the milk. So that helps as well, but the main reason is the mastitis. So another question I've got asked is, how come you pull the male before you let the cows in? Well, I kind of semi-answered that, but a lot of farmers don't do that. They'll let the cows in first, wait till the machine's ready to go on them, and then pull the male down to them. But to answer the question in short, it makes absolutely no difference. Cows are very, very repetitive type of animals, so whatever you do, they've got used to it. If I was to change over and go to that system now today, my cows wouldn't want to come in. They'd be very unsettled, but they wouldn't be like that for very long. They get used to that system, so this is just the way we do it. As long as the cow eats the male, it's always important. This is a heifer. So that's our cows finished, and now we are on our cow that just calved here last night. This is a heifer that calved. You've seen it in the last video. There's a third milking, and that is a heifer that calved 4 days ago, so she's milking away now. Now, if you remember back, if you're watching the channel, I was disappointed overall with our heifers back about a year ago because they were a lot younger. We got all our bull calves first, and our heifer calves came last. But I was very surprised how well they done. We gave them an extra wee bit of meal. We looked after them as best we could, and they turned into cracking heifers. She would definitely be one of those. Real nice shaped animal. This one does twitch an odd time, just give a little bit of a jump with one of our feet, just as she's coming close to be finished. So that's just pain. It takes a while for a cow's teeth to kind of get used to being milked. But I just use a dip, like an iodine-based dip that I put on after milking, and that helps to keep the skin good and also prevent infections. Right, so that's milking done, and Nicole is just in the cabin in there getting ready. She's setting up the gates to get this cow out. But this girl here, she's eager to get out, so I'm going to have to handle this one out. Nicole, will you maybe open the door for me? I don't think you're going to calve tonight. Or am I? Oh, look, you'll be in the safe place. Right, Nicole, you want to follow her around there and close her in? I don't think so. What do you think, Nicole? Did you calve? No, neither would I. That's just nearly finished up for the evening. It is 8:15 on St. Patrick's Day, and I just texted Sinead there, because normally, tradition, we go to the pub on St. Patrick's night, we'd never miss it. I just texted her, and the simple words was, still want to go to the pub? And I waited about 2 seconds, but the reply was, do we have to? And you know something? I was quite relieved, because we're parents are knackered, and I've actually no interest tonight. For once, I can't believe it. It's nice to get out. Both of us like going to the pub. Not for the alcohol end of it. It's just the meeting the people and having just a bit of crack, time off. But tonight we're just tired, and I look forward to getting a pizza. Maybe this cow calf and getting a good night's rest. Maybe we're getting out. Anyway, I'm going to go fill this house full of silage so the cows get finished up for the night. Right, hopefully these will fit through. They do, but the holes I drilled aren't big enough. Should be sucking diesel now. That's so much better. Right, so I just took it back out of the calf house because I don't want to be actually annoying them, and they'd be pulling the trousers off me, so it's easier to show you out here. This feeder, for instance, is one I bought a couple of years ago. I have a couple similar to this. This feeder here is actually probably a copy of a more well-known brand. And there's no brand on this at all, and it's a good bit cheaper than buying the more expensive one. The more expensive one might be better made, I don't know. But it does my job here. The only thing I have noticed about it is this plastic's probably a wee bit thinner, and these edges here nearly like razor blades. They will cut the finger off you when you're lifting it to clean it off a gate and putting it back on again. If your hands are wet, or if you didn't grab it properly, it could slide in your hand, and it has done so on me several times and opened up my finger nicely. And then one of the girls got badly cut this morning with it, so I just said enough's enough with that. And I had a couple of these plastic handles here laying from a different job, just spares. I just thought it'd be a great job to throw them on. That way there's no handling of this, no touching it at all. You have something just to lift it on and off the gate when you want to clean it. Simple job. It only took less than 10 minutes to do, but you know something, it'll actually make a big difference. So I have a few more of these handles and I have a couple of feeders just like this, and I'm going to do it in every single one of them, and that way it'll be a lot safer. And I have to go now and get a couple of bales of straw. But before I do that, I'm going to wrap up today's video. Silage wise, I never mentioned it, how much silage we had left, but we're okay for silage. If you look up on the bars there, I always go by the bars, we have 3.5 bars left. In reality, we get another 5 to 6 weeks of silage out of that there. But this silage you're looking at now is into the pit that we had left over from last year. I said before I want to get the pit used up this year. That's why I opened it a bit earlier than usual. And the stuff, I can say, smells lovely, looks lovely. That particular silage was good that year. Last year's was all right as well, but the year before I think was better quality. So we're feeding on that now. We just broke into it there about a week ago. So we should be all right for fodder. I don't know. Blue skies today, don't let it fool you. Every 15 minutes there's a hell of a downpour. So the simple way of putting it is ground is not getting a chance to dry up. We still have about 80 bales over in the other farm as well, so should be all right. Fingers crossed. Jesus, we'd want to be. Anyway guys, thanks for watching. I'm going to get out of this wind before I get blown over. See you in the next one.